Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel English Carnival, a journey of learning with joy. Friends, in our previous video, which was on literary terms, in which we had discussed two terms, and those terms were allegory and flat and round characters. So friends, today in this second part I have come up with again the video on literary terms, in which I have brought two literary terms for you all, and those two terms are irony and myth. So friends, before we proceed and see what do irony and myth mean, I request you to subscribe the channel, press the bell icon, and finally, after watching the video, if you like the video, then like it and share it among your friends. Friends, in this video today we are going to explore two literary terms, irony and myth, and these two terms are going to be explored under the umbrella of its origin, its definition, and some of the examples of irony and myth. Friends, as far as literary terms are concerned, these are the words, these are the terms which rightly help us to understand literature and, in certain scenario, criticism too. In our previous video, we have explored what does literary term mean, or what does literature mean. In the description box, I have mentioned the links of those two videos, so if you really want to watch it again, explore it again, and if you find any necessity, then you can explore the link in the description box. So friends, without wasting much time, let's see and explore the two crucial terms, irony and myth. Let's begin. Friends, in our previous video on literary terms part first, we have seen what does literary term mean, what is its significance, and how do they help us in understanding a piece of literature or criticism. So friends, without repeating all those things again, let's see the origin, definition, and few examples of the term called irony. So friends, as far as the origin of this term irony is concerned, so it has been stated in the Encyclopedia Britannica. The term irony has its roots in the Greek comic character Iron, a clever underdog who by his wit repeatedly trumps over the boastful character Alazon. The Socratic irony of the Platonic dialogues derives from this comic origin. So friends, the word called irony came into English as a figure of speech in the 16th century, as it's similar to the French irony. It derives from the Latin ironia and ultimately from the Greek. So as far as the definition of this term irony is concerned, friend, irony is a literary device. Irony is a contrast between expectations for a situation and what a reality is. This can be a difference between the surface meaning of something that is said and the underlying meaning. Friends, it can also be a difference between what might be expected to happen by the audience and what actually occurs or happens. So friends, by taking into account or by keeping this elaboration or explanation about this term irony, we have to explore the definition defined by Chris Baldick, where he says irony is a subtly humorous perception of inconsistency, in which an apparently straightforward statement of event is undermined by its context, so as to give it a very different significance. Friends, the same term or the same definition of irony can be defined from literary perspective as well, where we have the definition as irony is a figure of speech that just we have seen. in which words are used in such a way that their intended meaning is different from the actual meaning of the words. It may also be a situation that ends up in quite a different way than what is generally anticipated. In simple words, friends, it is a difference between appearance and reality. So, in short, as far as this term is concerned, irony can rightly be defined as a kind of tool. It's a kind of tool which is used to tell or share the story or any piece of literature, forming a contrast between how things seem and how they really are. Friends, after having seen certain definitions of irony, we are going to explore the types of irony. Friends, there are certain types of irony and its subtypes as well. So, at first, we have the dramatic irony, then verbal irony, and situational irony. Friends, all these types of irony have their subtypes as well. But at first, let's discuss what is dramatic irony. Friends, as far as dramatic irony is concerned, it occurs when audience or viewers have more information than the characters in a particular piece of literature. It had been derived from the Greek tragedy and mostly leads to the tragic results. Friends, as far as the example of this dramatic irony is concerned, we have the perfect example of it, and that is William Shakespeare's Othello and the character called Desdemona. Friends, the audience is aware that Desdemona is faithful, though Othello doesn't know about this fact. Now, friends, as far as the subtype of this category or type, that is dramatic irony, is tragic irony. Now, when we look towards the second type, that is verbal irony. Friends, verbal irony takes place when the speaker says something in a sharp contrast to his or her actual meaning. The speaker often makes a statement that seems very direct yet indicates that the opposite is in fact true, or what the speaker really means. It may consist of ironic similes as well, friends, and that's the reason we have the example of it as soft as scrub paper or as cool as tea. So these are the perfect example of this verbal irony. Now, friends, when we think about its subtypes, then we have sarcasm, understatement, overstatement, and Socratic irony. Now, let's see what is the third one, and that is situational irony. Friends, as far as situational irony is concerned, it consists of a situation, a particular situation, in which the result comes in a different way rather than the expecting or expected one. There are contradictions present in that particular situation, and that is called as situational irony. Friends, in short, situational irony is that in which exactly opposite to audience expectations or exactly opposite to our wish occurs, and that is the example or an example of situational irony. Now, friends, as far as the example of this situational irony and subtypes of it are concerned, so for the example, we have the owner of the hotel is struggling for meal. So friends, it's highly impossible and it is beyond imagination that the owner of the hotel is struggling for his own meal. On the other hand, we have one more example of situational irony, and that is the police station gets robbed. So this is also a kind of a situational irony where the police station itself gets robbed. And now when we think about its subtypes, then we have cosmic irony, poetic irony, structural irony, and historical irony. So friends, all these are It means dramatic irony, verbal irony, and situational irony are the types of irony, and tragic irony, sarcasm, understatement, overstatement, Socratic irony, cosmic irony, poetic irony, structural irony, and historical irony. These are the subtypes of these three major types of irony. Friends, now let's see what is myth. Friends, as far as myth is concerned, or it has been considered, it has been supposed that the myth is a story belonging to the ancient culture, or which has been continuously running in the stream of tradition with superb supernatural elements and ideas. Friends, these myths might have been formed to extend and unveil the ideas regarding formation of the earth, evolution of human beings, existence of animals, and other such stuff or things which are there on the earth. So friends, this term myth, or it might be the reason, as there are certain phrases that we find that once upon a time it happened, or once upon a time the situation was like this, and that could be the reason there are most of the myths which begin with this phrase called once upon a time. Friends, it does not carry, or as far as myths are concerned, it does not carry any kind of concrete foundation, and mostly highlight the values, culture, tradition, custom, and so many other things. And it could be the reason, friends, as far as mythology is concerned, it is nothing but the study of all these myths. Friends, many myths came into existence in the early period of civilization, and which is known to everyone. And all these myths have been running so far properly in the stream of tradition, and the same that just we have discussed. Now, friends, it should be understood that these myths became the part of cultural consciousness, and explaining the existence of all these things like human existence, or the cultural existence, or the lifestyle of human beings, and many such other things, and it is still there in the society. Now, friends, when we think about its etymological exploration or origin, that time we find that the word myth comes from the ancient Greek word mythos, which means word or speech. On the other hand, friends, we have to understand this as well. So as far as the term myth is concerned, so until the 17th or 18th century, the word mythology was used to mean a moral fable, allegory, or a parable, or collection of traditional stories as well. Now, when we turn towards the definition or certain definitions of this term called myth, that time we have to see Collins dictionary's definition, or what definition is given in Collins dictionary, and that is, a myth is a well-known story which was made up in the past to explain natural events, or to justify religious beliefs or social custom. So here, friends, as far as this definition is concerned, with the help of this definition, we can rightly understand that myth is nothing but a kind of story, and which is there, or which is being told to point out religious beliefs, or certain social customs, or certain social traditions, or cultural values, or such things. Now we have one more definition of Thomas Mann, where he says the myth is the foundation of life. It is the timeless schema, the pious formula into which life flows when it reproduces its threads out of the consciousness. So friends, here we with the help of these two different definitions, and if we deal with the statements or quotes quoted by Chris Baldick, that time we have to understand that what Chris Baldick says. So here he says that the term has wide range of meaning. We cannot bind it with a particular ideology or a particular stream of ideology or a particular notion as well. So as far as this term called myth is concerned, it has wide range of meaning which can be divided into two different parts, and those two different parts are rationalist and romantic versions. So friends, here in the first part, that is rationalist, a myth is a false or unreliable story or belief, while in the second, which is romantic version, in that myth is a superior intuitive. So friends, here we need to understand the perception of Chris Baldick as well, where he says that as far as the second version or second part, that is romantic, is concerned, in that myth is a superior intuitive mode of cosmic understanding. And friends, in most of the literary context, the second one, that is romantic myth, and it has been using. Now friends, besides all these things, when we think about this term called myth, or what is the basic function of this term myth or myths, or why it is there in the society, or why it is there globally, that time we need to take into account certain points, and those points are, so friends, at first we need to understand that this and as far as myth is concerned, myth is intended to use in the academics to make the students familiar with all these things. Now, why they are supposed to be familiar with these myths? So there could be so many reasons, but still it has to be the first intention or first intended thread as far as myth is concerned. Now the second one we have, it has to be there to unveil the mysteries. So whatever mysteries or whatever to be or not to be kinds of things are there in the society, so to justify all those things with the help of typical myths, so for this reason myths have to be there. The third one we have to highlight the phenomenon of nature. So as previously we have seen, it talks about, it means myth talks about the existence of human being, the phenomenon of nature, the existence of nature, the development of nature, the development or existence or evolution of human beings or other beings on the earth. So it talks about all these things. It talks about culture, values, customs, tradition. So to highlight the phenomenon of nature is one of the crucial points out of rest of the threads or rest of the points. The next one we have is to express the tradition, customs, institutions and lifestyle of people, and this is the most important one, that since beginning we have been talking about this point. And the next one we have to inculcate the cultural and other such values among the people. So this is also one of the intentions or one of the aims of myth, we can call it as such. Now friends, when we talk about the examples of myth, that time we have Greek mythology, Irish mythology, Roman mythology and many more such things are there. But out of all these things, and as far as literature is concerned, or from literary perspective, or the way literary figures or writers of literature rather I say, the way they deal with all these kinds of myths in their particular piece of literature, that we are going to see, that we are going to have with the help of 2 to 3 examples. So at first friends, we have the example of Romeo and Juliet, one of the renowned plays by William Shakespeare. And here in this play, William Shakespeare uses some quotes in the in this particular play, highlighting the Greek mythology. At second we have a poem, beautiful poem, No Second Troy by W.B. Yeats. Now, friends, in this poem, it explores the crux of Trojan War and writes the poem and tries to bring similarity between the Trojan War and revolutionary and anti-British activities of the Irish people. The third one we have, that is again world-class piece of literature, that is Paradise Lost, an epic poem by John Milton. So in this piece of literature also, John Milton rightly talks about or the Genesis story about the fall of man and subsequent eviction from the Garden of Eden, and all these things are there. So this is also, or it has also been taken from myth. So friends, we need to understand that myths are there in every society, every nation, every culture of the globe, and these are the basic element and part of human beings and their lives. Friends, these myths are there to teach us the moral lessons and to keep us conscious about them. Friends, it has been using in literature. These kinds of myths are there, and they are being used frequently by literary figures, literary writers, to create some kinds of impression among the readers and people in the society. After all, friends, we should understand it as myths and their symbols help for the creativity or aesthetic touch to a particular piece of literature. It means it is there, or it is being used by the literary figures or literary writers to create typical symbols, or to just promote the creativity, or to create a kind of aesthetic touch, or to give a kind of aesthetic touch to the literature or to a particular piece of literature. So friends, thank you for watching the video on literary terms. I hope you have liked the video, and if you really have liked it, then I request you to like it, share it among your friends, near and dear ones as well. Friends, here I also request you, if you have not subscribed the channel yet, I request you to subscribe the channel so that you may get notifications of uploaded videos in coming days. Friends, I assure you that I'll definitely come up again with new terms, new video in part 3. So friends, till then, just take care of yourself, be happy. Thank you, see you soon.